Married to a Strange Man Part 2. Thank you so much, family, for subscribing. Your comment tells us better ways to improve and also serve as a source of encouragement. Your comment is highly appreciated. Taiwo refused to go any further. Suddenly, her husband turned and looked at her. Let me tell you the truth. All you see with me are not mine. They were borrowed, her husband said angrily. Princess fainted when she heard what her husband said. And when she woke up, they had arrived a strange village. Everyone appeared strange. No one spoke to each other. She cried and screamed, but it was a futile effort because they could not understand her language. Only her husband could communicate with them. She is my wife, and her sickness of the mind, he told them. And all they could do was to feel pity for her. He is an impostor, she kept screaming. I am a princess. He kidnapped me, but no one could understand her. She could not run away because her husband held her hands so strongly. As they continued the journey, the worst happened. Her husband had borrowed not just the horse, clothes, and jewelries, even his youth was borrowed. She watched him transform into an old man. Taiwo cried so much that she didn't have the strength to cry anymore. And for the first time in her life, she regretted so much that she wished she had listened to her mother and sister. It dawned on her that she had married an evil old sorcerer. He had the ability to change forms. They arrived a tattered-looking hut that night. She could not sleep. She was scared of what would happen to her if she closed her eyes. She thought of ways to escape, but though her husband was old, he was very strong. In fact, he tied her hands and legs. She thought about Kehinde, her twin sister, who was not as pretty as she was, yet was wise enough to make a wise choice. And how happy she was with her family. Oh, how perfect he looked when he came. He was too good to be true. Yet, he was only an impostor. She thought to herself, if life would give her a second chance, she would not make this kind of mistake. She could not eat for many days. The old sorcerer ignored her, yet he monitored her to make sure she didn't escape. My prize, he called her. Yes, you are my prize, the old sorcerer reiterated. You cannot sit there crying all day. You have work to do on my farm. He made her work hard on his farm under strict observation. Taiwo was not used to working this hard, so she fell ill. But after she was nursed back to health, he made her return back to working on the farm. One day, when she saw he was not monitoring her, she took to her heels and ran as fast as her legs would carry her, without looking back. When she eventually turned back, she saw a wild beast chasing after her. Her old sorcerer husband had turned into a wild beast and chased after her. Immediately he observed she had escaped, and he did catch up with her, for he was strong. He transformed back to himself, laughing hard. You cannot run, he mocked. You are my prize. I own you now. Now let me warn you. I only give 2 chances. You have used one. If you try to escape again, I will eat you up like I have eaten the others. Princess Taiwo pleaded with him not to harm her and promised not to escape again. This continued for months, and Princess Taiwo had worked so hard on the sorcerer's farm. She was darker and looked so unkempt. She missed her father and her mother, yet it was difficult for her to escape. One night she thought of escaping, but she was scared. She knew he had magical powers and may know. He had warned her sternly, and he would not spare her if she tried. For months, Taiwo stopped trying. She was afraid until she found the sleeping herbs in the farm. She remembered vividly this herb was always used for her father when he was sick, to make him sleep. She decided to try escaping again, for she was going to put the herbs in the sorcerer's food. She was going to take that risk. She remembered the story her father told her, that when the person snored loudly, then he was deeply asleep. She waited until she heard him snore so loudly. She gently crept out of the hut to avoid being caught. It was raining heavily that night and Taiwo never cared about it. She wanted to run as far as her legs could carry her away from him. She ran into the bush. She kept running. She couldn't see where she was going because it was dark and was scared of looking back. I would rather die trying than never try, she said to herself. Several times she fell down, but she got up again. She was never going back to that scary hut. Unfortunately for Taiwo, her leg got caught in a trap. She was stuck, and when she tried to pull her legs out with force, the trap injured her badly. But she kept limping until she had no strength left in her. She became unconscious. Taiwo opened her eyes to find out that she was in another strange hut. Someone has picked her up from the bush after finding out that she had been injured. Taiwo saw a pot of boiling herbs and pottage at the side of the hut and some herbs on her saw. She was afraid and wanted to run away when the door was widely open. She saw a man covered with an animal skin. He had a Dane gun with him. He was so huge and he had to bend into the hut. Taiwo was so frightened that she began to plead for her life. I won't harm you. I am a hunter who saved your life, the hunter said calmly while he put some pottage in the calabash for her to eat. Taiwo was still afraid. She pretended to be comfortable with the hunter. She thought of how to go back home, for she had missed her family dearly. The hunter was nice to her. He tended to her wants and brought food for her. He made her feel comfortable and Taiwo began to trust him. She told him her story about the sorcerer and how she managed to escape. The hunter was not surprised to have heard the story of the sorcerer since he was aware of his existence. You are lucky to have escaped with your life. The evil sorcerer had eaten many maidens whom he once was married to whenever they attempted to escape. The second time, and they always did. The hunter also told Taiwo about how his parents lived in the forest as hunters. They once lived in a village, but his parents were banished out of the village. With the help of the hunter, Taiwo returned home, but as a different person. Taiwo had learned humility from experience and had also learned that not all that glitter was gold. Her parents were excited to welcome a new Taiwo. Tell me what you have learned in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Thank you.